Hi there, and welcome back for another episode of Discussions of Exploration with your host Sabrina and Salmi. And today I am here with a very, very special guest, Dr. Arup Mukhopadhyay. Hopefully I've pronounced your name correctly. Today we're going to be discussing education. I think this is the topic globally. We want to ensure that our children can transition back to school safely, but how do we also proof them for the future? And Doctor is actually going to discuss his theories around that. So Doctor, I wonder if you can say hi to our listeners and our viewers.
Hi, how are you? I'm pleased to be here and it's wonderful to talk to you.
Excellent, thank you very much. It would be amazing if we can start, because I know you're very popular on social media, but for some people that haven't heard about you before, could you just tell people what you do, a little bit about your background?
I was born and brought up in the city of joy, it's called Calcutta in India. And went to a boarding school. And as you know that I always believe in the school remains in the boarding. And that has been, the history. Children come to school, children stay with the teachers stays a whole community feeling. And that's how I have been raised. And some of my teachers really made a mark on my life in the school teachers, and which made me to come to college and take up the teaching as a profession. And it has been wonderful that I started my teaching career from a Montessori level. I was trained the Maria Montessori's training methodology and started teaching for the very, very young kids, which gave me an opportunity to learn with the kids as I grew. And my background was that basically a chartered biologist with an environmental science background. Went to do an education management before I entered into the education management field. Started a classroom teaching, high school teaching, advanced level biology, human biology, with an international baccalaureate biology. And it happened for a decade long. I taught in some of the best boarding schools in the countries and abroad. And then I was inducted into leadership role in a school principal. And for me, it has been always that how can somebody run without authority? Can the principal be a person without authority? And can you lay down the foundation of a new generation positive education from a same platform without having a vertical organization structure in which the authority plays a very important role? That was the biggest challenge to bring into my leadership. Because people felt that you may not be having a leadership, that's why you ask for a suggestion. That's why you want to ask for advice. Nobody thought that collaborative and shared leadership can take a mile savvy. Because the inputs which you get from all of the 10 people, and it is much better than one person's idea. And that's throughout my leadership life I tried to implement. I tried to operate from that angle, that how leadership can be unheroic. Unheroic leadership is a new ball game altogether. And then, I thought of taking this leadership and into making a model of leadership to train more and more leaders so that K-12 education come into not in an authoritarian leadership model in which people work from the similar platform. So for the last around 19 years, I am the Chief Executive Officer and working in India, United Arab Emirates, working in Southeast Asia, working in large part of Africa, which is where my soul lies, I'll be rather saying. Contributing to the people, give me a lot of pleasure when somebody say that why is the school closed? Falling in love with the life of the school, it's the biggest happiness one can get it. Children say, I want to go to school. Because most of the time the children say, I don't want to go to school. I have this, I have that in the morning. But when somebody come and say, why is the school closed on Sunday? That gives much more happiness than anything else. And that span out my whole life involving with the social cause of education and how the education can be a biggest weapon to change the planet Earth, to make an impact on the planet Earth. Because everything what you say, the poverty, the hunger, the gender bias, it's all the basic root comes from the education. If you can provide a positive, meaningful, effective, functional education, I think all other 16 sustainable development goals can be taken care of by only implementing honestly, holistically the education. That's my point of view.
Wow, listeners and viewers, we are off to a very powerful introduction. We haven't even got started yet. This is why I was so passionate and excited about talking to Dr. Arup. Doctor, I wonder if we can delve in. I know you touched on a few things, but what I really love is that you've seen both sides of the coin. You know, you've been in education, you're supporting the families, but now you're in the role of leadership. I wonder if you can share some of your visions, because I absolutely love your mindset with regards to education, and we've had conversations about this in the background. But I wonder if you can describe your vision for sustainable educational future.
Well, I mean, when I look at a sustainable education, okay, which is the decades ahead to come, it's around 10 years, 2030 is the deadline to achieve the sustainable development goal. I look at education as a learning experience, which is experiential and phenomenal education. Is not the education which is subject oriented, the education which is not technology oriented, the education which is not uniform oriented. As soon as you talk about the K-12 education, some education, immediately something come to your mind is the structure. The education need to be liquid. It need to be flexible. I mean, it cannot be determined that every day the children come to school and the same staircase, same classroom. That's why I always tell that I don't think that education has changed. What has changed in the four walls? The blackboard has come to the smart board. Okay, blackboard has come to the smart board. You have a glossy wall. You have a glossy posters which has come. You have a high-tech furniture, but the classroom has not changed. To change the classroom, you need to have a phenomenal based education. Project-based education has gone. It's a 50 years old concept. People still hammering on the project-based education. Project-based education is not the need of the hour. The need of the hour is phenomenon-based education and experiential education, which will pave the way for the young generation. The young generation, I think the planet is the most privileged because 30 to 40% of the globe population under the age of 35 years, which make the earth, the planet, more effective and more sustainable to change the education in that direction so that these people, the young leaders, those who are in the school today, our future leaders are in the school today, and this leader will be groomed in such a way that they are soaked into phenomenal education and experiential education to address the global sustainable development.
Wow, you get me. It's really hard to do. I contain myself. The excitement, like for me as a parent, I'm a mother of 5. Listening to that, my insides are screaming. Listeners and viewers, if you're a parent, I'm sure you can resonate with what Doctor's saying. We have to have more experiential learning. We have to have this integration of moving forward with the times rather than being stuck in the dinosaur ages. What do you think, Doctor, are the key components that need to come together? Because I guess some people don't really understand the shift of, well, the old way works and this is all I know. Well, there's a big shift coming, and whether we like it or not, it is coming. So what would you like to share with regards to key components to come together to make
that? I mean, see, if you look at the globally education when it stands, I mean, first thing which we have not able to overcome till yet, the access of education. Forget about the quality education. The first thing, till now 10 million young children have been denied education and the shelter. Now, one part of the world is developing does not mean the globe is going to develop. Because the global issues will be recurring to you. Global pandemics will be recurring to you. But unless and until the more or less equally the global the children are having first the access of certain education. That's the first point. Once you provide, which may take a decade to provide the access to education to all the children. Once you provide, and I don't mean the education means this, you have a textbook, you write the exam and you pass, and you have a paper certificate and you say, I passed it, I graduated it. Not that. What I exactly want to mean, it is a functional education. Functional education, I want to use it, that education which can make a meaning to you for a life. Okay, that is the first thing I said. Second thing I wanted to tell you, that people looking at a very high-end education without understanding, without addressing the basic need. We talk about artificial intelligence. We talk about technology giant. We talk about remote learning. Lot of people, the children do not have a textbook in the world. 3 people sharing one book in some of the places. There are no shade where the children can sit under the shade and study. So now, to reach those states fast. Once we achieve this state, which may take 10 to 15, it cannot happen overnight. Okay? It cannot happen overnight. It's a sustained effort by the leaders. By the leaders from all the communities, I don't mean the political leaders. It means that you can, somebody can be, in your community, you can become a leader. You take a decision, stand tall, and you become a leader. Leadership is not a noun, it's a verb. It's a verb. Because action makes you a leader. Not somebody has designated you as a leader. In a small community, you start a school, try to educate the children, and you become a leader. So access of education. Once you have an access of education, the next step you can go, I'll not say the good education. I'll say gold standard education. You say the premium hospital card, gold, silver. I'll be saying not the good education. I'll say gold standard education. When you provide the gold standard, to some extent education, the children and these people try to make mark in the community, because it should start from the community. It starts from the community. You make an effect in the community. You start budgeting electricity. You start budgeting the water. The small change which make the planet more valuable to you. And the climate change, it stopped. You start going to function more democratically. Okay? You start functioning, you know the value of vaccine. You know the value of taking antibiotics. You know the value of completing an antibiotic course. So you become a healthy human being who is not falling on who is not susceptible to disease, contribute to economy. When you contribute to economy, you can function. You are not most of the time sick. When you are not most of the time sick, you attend the school. When you attend the school, you have imbibed learning. And once you imbibe the learning, you are a metamorphosed person who can contribute to the community. That's a micro level of education which need to happen. And the countries, the community where it has already happened, okay, there I'll be looking at social and emotional learning. The countries which has already arrived at that stage, they should start working on social and emotional learning. Because if you look at history and other aspect, you see our education system is heavily loaded with cognitive domain. It's a cognition, okay, intelligence. You can solve a maths, you can make a wonderful model, but we have denied psychomotor and affective domain. I mean, when you deny the psychomotor and affective domain, you are not a complete human being, and your education is not holistic. Okay, you do not consider about the other parts of the world. You cannot visualize and justify the view of another person. You think that you are the only right person in the world. Okay, so when the cross-cultural efficacy, the global citizenship is all come, you need to have a sharing, you need to have a caring, you need to have a negotiation, you understand the curiosity, you understand the preparedness. Look at a cellular small virus made all the world prostrate, and we caught unprepared. So preparedness, that you need to sense it, that something is going to happen, how I need to address it, the preparedness which we are lacking. So this would be the way the advanced, the fortunate countries where they have reached that stage, they will take the education forward. Whereas those who are behind, they should start from access. Next to access is quality. Once they have the quality, then we will take them social and emotional learning. That should be the stages of learning all over.
Wow, wow, wow. You've not made this easy for me. You've actually rendered me speechless. You have shared so much golden nuggets. Listeners and viewers, take notes. Please take notes, because what I love with regards to what you're saying, Doctor, is the inclusiveness, the holisticness. I love the essence of your integrating emotional intelligence, soft skills. And I cannot emphasize this enough. Myself and Dr. I and many of my friends have been talking about this very thing, is that when our children are just intellectual, they can repeat, regurgitate, that's not enough for you to go out into the world. That's not it. You need to have emotional intelligence. You need to have soft skills, because that's the fundamentals of building up character, building up connections and relationships. And what I really love about what you're saying is that we need to make it accessible for all. And listeners and viewers, I really can't emphasize this enough. I get so excited when I heard Doctor say that you too can be a leader. Don't wait for someone to tell you. Be an active leader in your community because you believe in something, and it's each of us are a unique piece to the puzzle. And Doctor's really calling upon you to activate, because we all have something to share and something to give. And more importantly, every child deserves to have access to experiential learning as well. That has just really excited me. I am just really blown away, because you've hit the nail on the head. Some of us, we're talking about high-end AI, but some kids don't even have access to anything. So absolutely 100% agree with that. Please, if anyone wants to get in touch with Doctor, please do. I'll be leaving some information. The next thing that's on my mind in this current state is that school was very quickly transitioned from, you mentioned boarding school, private school, state school, to parents being at home. The whole globe is at home. Now, how can we support, and I was on your webinar, amazing webinar that you put together, how can we support parents with their children during this transition? Because I really love that you highlighted some key points, is that now the primary educators and primary carers are the families, and not all families know how to actively support their children through their education. They're now having to deal with work that they've never actually been exposed to before. So what are your thoughts around that, please, Doctor?
Well, this changing paradigm, it's not a linear. It has never been a linear. Okay, I always believe the change is never been linear. A lot of people will try to pull you back to change, and they feel, let's go back to the comfort zone. Okay, we have been very, very comfortable. The teachers come, give you some questions, some answers, you write it down, you write exam, and you get a certificate. It has been the comfort zone for the years. I personally find that the learning which we do it is basically a cosmetic learning. Okay? The learning is a cosmetic. You apply things before going out, you come and you just wash it off. So learning need to be, my talk was there for a year, it's called deeper learning. The deeper learning means that idea of what is going to be done, what you are doing, it's need to be applicable. It's an applicable model. Okay. To keep that, see, I have seen the parents, whenever you like to do and you take it approach, parents become a guarded. Parents feel it may harm ultimately my children. My children may not get a good grade. My children have been fitting well into the system. Why the change? I don't take it into granted. Why don't you do next year? Let my child pass. Okay. So every parent will be no. Okay. Now, can we have the world? I always tell the parents that can your child write the exam looking at the books. Looking at the books, writing an exam as an open book test can be the new law, so that the children don't fear and don't have anxiety for the examination. At the same time, your question papers, your test can be designed in such a way which can create curiosity, which can make the children to think hours. It's not a 2 hours, 3 hours exam. It can be an exam throughout the year. And that gives the children the authority to write, not the examination board anymore. That I have the authority to write the exam. I can create my own model. How well I can be a multidisciplinary toppers. How can I integrate things? How can I conclude my ideas? How can I give my ideas? And that's actually we are looking for. To the world which is 10 years ahead, which is 20 years ahead, we are looking at the people who can think. We are not looking at the people, those who regurgitate. The people look at memorize. Okay? Those who can repeat things. We don't need to do. The people we need, each and everybody need to be a thinking tank. So that this transition would be possible fast to remove traditional test and assessment. Once the traditional test and assessment is removed, a kind of a fear, the block, passing, not getting good grade, less grade, top grade will be removed. Children can study, children can explore. Exploration start that time. Once the exploration start, you can have lots of scientists, lot of musicians, lot of painters, lot of singers, lot of directors would come out. We do not let them to grow. We only want them the way we want them to grow. So that's the first blockade we need to remove if we want the sustainable goal to be achieved within 10 years time or 15 years time. That's the first goal that to be removed. Second goal, I always think the wisely use of technology. Wisely use of technology. We do not say anymore integration of technology into education. Technology has already come. It's a part of education. Using the word integration of technologies education is a mockery, because technology is a part of education. Now, how wisely we like to utilize it? I remember before this pandemic came, people used to say, no, I don't want my child to look at the screen for a longer time. Now, I have not seen a parent telling me that I don't look at 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, people looking at the screen. Okay? And nothing wrong in that. This is the evolution. This is the way new normal to be formed. This is the way the new normal will be worked out. Where children make the mask may be the part of uniform. Tomorrow the mask can be a part of uniform. You do not know. Maybe the virus is not going to leave us so soon. Virus may going to stay with us. Now, in this changed circumstances, how we can adopt better. And that's give you the survivability. That's children, those who can fare well in online education, remote learning, will be the survival of the fittest. They can do much better. So now we need to how quickly you adapt to a situation. How well you can adapt to a situation. There is no point of talking about the visionary. There is no point of talking about that I can do it. When there is a change in the environment, how quickly you can accommodate change. That would be another important skill which need to be taught. So these two things, if it is be wisely implemented in the curriculum and taught in the school. Now, when you go to school, we used to see the school building, which is a wonderful building which make us awe. But now, nobody is going to look at the school building. When remote learning comes, how well you are able to deliver remotely the education, the remotely learning, without having a learning loss. I am working on a learning loss. Okay, whether physical learning brick mortar school and online school, in which area do you have a learning loss? Okay, if the learning loss in the month of March or April is 5%, 10%, whether in the month of April, May, June, it is going to reduce? Because learning, as you are dipped into the situation, definitely you need to look at it. A few days back, I conducted a parents meeting online on Zoom, first time, okay? And there's a large number of parents, and it's a wonderful experience conducting a parents meeting online. Taking the test online, which is an academic honesty. You'll be talking about a lot of academic honesty. Children need to be given that approach that how you can be writing a test without a supervision. So if these are the things stepwise we can do it, the transition from a traditional learning or the transition from a 20th century learning to 21st century's unknown world learning will be smoother, more adaptable, and more meaningful.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much for that, Doctor, for a very fruitful answer. You know what I love with regards to what you said is the insight of knowledge that you have and wisdom. And I love when you talk about teaching children or allowing children to think, to be creative. And I think I cannot agree with it more. And I'm super excited, to be honest, because that is an education system that I've definitely been praying for, because that is the difference that's going to make the difference. It's like what you said, that's when children are really going to get connected to being the doctor, being a musician, because they have an in-depth insight, but also it will start to connect with their own passions, and they'll start to recognize who they are as young as possible. I love this. I love this so much. Parents, listeners, viewers, please take heed, because what Doctor is sharing is so profound and it's coming. But also what I loved about what you shared was the adaptability. Parents, I cannot encourage you enough to take heed. Change is natural, is a natural part of life. When we think things are going to be constant forever, we're deluded. That is an illusion. We are constantly changing, shifting, evolving. But the question that Doctor's asking you, what is your ability to adapt? What is your adaptability? I think that's absolutely remarkable. What are some of the concerns that you have, Doctor, if parents and educating platforms don't actually take heed of the changes that's coming along? What's some of the biggest concerns for you?
Well, this is very normal. This is very, very normal. Nobody likes change. Nobody will be liking change. And you will get very few people, those will be welcoming change. Because in the society, by human being instinct, we like to be settled. And the more you are settled, the nature will make you unsettled. I always believe in the more you feel you are settled, nature will make you unsettled. Look at the pandemic. You're all artificial intelligence, you're all, whatever the technology you say, it's flattened. It's flattened. We are trying to flatten the curve. The virus flattened us. That's why I was talking to my daughter today, that you look at this, irony. So I look at in this way that nobody will be accepting change. Nobody will like to change. But I look at this kind of pandemic opens up the windows of opportunities. Teachers in the remote area never thought of delivering their learning through online. They have taken minimum WhatsApp. Minimum WhatsApp they have used to communicate, to deliver learning in the remote where there is an internet is not accessible. Okay. Now, this is the need of the hour. Okay, parents accept it. Initially, parents told, no, it's difficult. It's buying a bandwidth will be difficult. People started buying. People thought that virus is going to be with us. It's not a 1 day, 2 day, 3 days phenomenon. We may lose another 3 to 4 months. Okay, who knows? So people changed. So situation forces you to change. So whenever there is some kind of a resistance, I stick to it and I inject change very, very slowly, very mild dose. One change today, at the end of the year, you say you have to come out with 30 changes. So the process need to continue. Leader need to believe in themselves. The parents are the end users. Parents are the end users. I always look at. Look at the parents not as a consumer. Look at the parents as a stakeholders who are emotionally attached with the learning. Let the parents get emotionally attached with the learning. And once parents, this is a golden opportunity during the lockdown time. Parents are observing, watching the children, how that they are learning. Okay. It's a wonderful opportunity for all of us to observe our colleagues, their potential, their capacity, their ability to deliver. It has never been possible for me to go each and every class to sit and observe the teacher. But today, it's a golden opportunity for me to observe each and every of my teacher, which make the parents confident. It is very, very important because I'm working on the post-COVID-19 school reopening. And once post-COVID-19 school reopening will talk to parents, parents need to be confident enough. Parents need to keep trust on you. Parents need to know that my child is safe, how you can work. So when you want to make a change, you need to make sure that your stakeholders are on the same platform, they have a trust on you, they believe you, and they are confident enough, and that lead to change. So the transition will take place if you believe on those qualities, that you take your stakeholder alone. Do not leave your stakeholder, leave. Do not think that your stakeholder will not have faith. And the faith, confidence gain throughout the process, throughout the action. So action should speak more than your words.
Wow. Doctor, you actually excite me. Knowing that you're a leader in education really gives me hope. I love your thought process, but also your ability to actually sit in the seat of the parents to see, how are they feeling? What do they need at this point? And recognizing that it's about getting them to trust you, to believe in you and work with you as stakeholders. I really love the way you encapsulated that. Listeners, viewers, you're in for such a treat, and thank you for joining me. The next thing that was kind of pondering on my mind, Doctor, is what kind of gives you hope, given all the current climate, but what are some of the key things that really give you hope going forward?
This is my 30th year of this profession. Okay. And I have worked with the downtrodden, the poorest of the poor. I have worked with the richest of the rich, the leaders of the countries, their children, some of their grandchildren. When I look at, in Delhi, the capital of India, okay, for the last few years, we have never thought the government-run schools can do miracle. Infrastructurally, academic transition, the delivery of the curriculum, quality of teachers, the teacher's potential. It has made us believe that it's not impossible. It's possible. It can change. At the same time, I have seen the elite schools. How do you feel that you know everything? Working in an elite school is much easier than working in a small district town school. Because when you go to work in an elite school, people know everything. You don't need to do anything. So working them, it's a cakewalk. It's a cakewalk for me. I go and I talk less, people understand more. But when I walk into a district town school, in a small remote school in some of the very, very small countries, I see the hope, the respect, the value the community attach with. So that rays of hope, the joy of learning, you can see in the faces of the children, and which will give us hope that if honestly, sincerely, sustained effort is put, there is no doubt education will change the world. Education is one of the 17 goals of sustainable development, will definitely make the planet a better place for our young children to live with peace and happiness.
Wow, 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 Doctor, what a way to share your message of hope. Listeners, viewers, that has really zenned me out just to listen to that message of hope. And I really hope that you can feel it as much as I can. What do you think we need to do more of, Doctor, both locally and globally? Because I think it's a twofold question. Like, in respects of what you're seeing, what do you think we kind of need to do more of and less of? Because there's lots of whispers going around, and what parts of those do you think are more beneficial, and some of those that we need to silence a little bit more? What are your viewpoints around that?
I was reading the Oxfam report, the January report of Oxfam this year. It says the 42 richest people of the world is equal to 50% of the global poorest people's wealth. See the differences. See the differences. When globally this kind of differences exist, it's difficult to function. We need to work on that area. Economic development, working on the population, working on the resource distribution, resource generation, equal distribution of resource. Once we are moving in that line, I think people need to learn how to live with less. Living with less, it's one of the attributes at the quality. I just give a very simple example to you. You can have a simple meal in the lunch. You survive well, you get a balanced diet. The world healthiest food eaten by the world's poorest countries. I repeat it, world's healthiest food eaten by the poorest countries of the world because they don't have money to buy junk food. They don't have money to buy junk food and they are the healthier. They eat food which are grown naturally. They don't eat food, the processed food. Whereas the world richest go for the junkest of the junk food, which is processed, and you require a lot of natural resources to produce that food, and you become the consumer of one of the largest world resources, and you become more unhealthy. So this dichotomy, this thing need to be taught. And this can begin in the school to teach children how can you live, how do you live with less. I work in a school where we did not have the television. We did not have the television. The school is running. The school is running is one of the oldest school, as a 300 years old school. They do not permit, they do not permit to have television. What helped that school? Students are more into reading. Students read newspaper. Look at it. So students have no other way than to go for magazine. The students no other way to go for books. They don't allow the school to use mobile phones. You communicate with your parents through emails. You communicate with relatives through emails. So once it's a blocked, it's a sustainable goal. Again, I look at it as a sustainable goal. Okay. So living with less is not that. They can provide television, each dormitory, 1, 2 big television, they can provide, the parents give lot of fund to generate, parents will ask, every student need to wash their clothes. That it does not go to the washerman, the laundry. You learn how to take care of yourself. Okay. So these are the sustainable goals. We look at how you make a person independent, interdependent, making them feel a community life. And that's how the things begin in the school. You teach the children, live with minimum, live with less. When you do that, live with minimum, live with less, the natural resources equally distributed. Once they're equally distributed, the poorest of the poor give a larger little share, and which make them to come up to the standard. The day we have to take the world into a level, and unless and until we cannot do it, I think we are a failure. our education will be the failure, our leaders will be the failure. And that should be an effort for us to take the world into one step ahead to all. And once we reach, that is the planet will be the best place to are. The young generation, today's generation, those who are in the school, they can be the right leader. The kind of education we are giving to them, the kind of leadership we'll be expecting from them. If we fail to give the right kind of education, if we fail to give the sustainable education, we will not be able to produce the leader who will be able to take care of our planet, who will be able to take care and protect us.
Wow, Doctor. There are so many things that you shared. Listeners and viewers, I urge you to rewind, take notes. I love what you mentioned, less is more, removing the TV the children read. Children that can't access all of the processed foods, that eat wholesome foods. That is so thought-provoking. So thought-provoking, and really causing our listeners and viewers to rethink what they think they've lost. Because actually, are you gaining something? And I'm super excited for this holistic education that you described when we had our conversation, and where this is going, our sustainable education. But what really excites me is the inclusiveness. It's the inclusiveness of the children in the most poor, remote places on the planet. They are going to become an opportunity to actually become our leaders, to actually shift our mindset from what we thought we had to what we can now bring to the table. And for me, that excites me beyond anything, because if there's not a plain level field, they wouldn't actually get that contribution, because like you're saying, they don't even have access to books, they don't have access to education or online. So this, what you're speaking about, listeners and viewers, Doctor is really sharing some deeply profound nuggets with regards to how he sees the future of education, but also how we can come on board as leaders, but being adaptable and being open. And I love the leadership in being active, not just sitting there and claiming it, being active. And I really call upon you to tap into what the doctor's sharing with you. Doctor, we're coming to a close, and I'm literally enjoying all of this indulgence with you. But is there a final message that you would like to leave with our listeners and viewers?
Well, I mean, that's always a wonderful opportunity. I get it when you say this point. I think I would request the parents. I think the parents would be the more, because I deal with the children, those who may not be making a lot of impact. I think I would ask the parents that my always dream is linking learning to life. Ensure that either it's an adult, whether it's a children, what they're learning, whether it has anything to do with the life. Once you are moving towards that, nobody can stop the transition. Nobody can stop the success. Nobody can stop you. Linking learning to life is the bottom line of everything.
Wow. What a powerful opening and a powerful closing. Listeners and viewers, Doctor is really giving you a golden nugget. Me as a parent, I totally resonate with that message. I resonate on so many levels, because that's what I encapsulate my parenting all around. How can we make education relevant to their lives? Once they understand it's relevant to their lives, once you help them to link it to their lives, I'm telling you, that will be a massive game changer in your whole family for generations to come. Please listen to all of the nuggets of wisdom and professionalism that Doctor has shared with us, because I'm telling you, you are going to just want more. And Doctor, can we actually let the listeners and viewers know how they can get in touch with you? So I know you've got an array of materials that they can tap into, but how can they get in touch with you after this interview?
Well, I think you can write down my email ID. Okay.
I can do that, yes.
Arup Mukhopadhyay, which has been shown at the rate of gmail.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on the Facebook, and we are always accessible for the global cause. It's wonderful talking to you.
Thank you so much for joining me in this space. It's an absolute honor to have you as a guest on this platform. And I wish you continued health, wealth, and happiness with you and your family. And thank you.
Thank you so much. It's wonderful.